Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
Live broadcast this presentation of West Coast League Baseball. It is game one of a three-game set between the Walla Sweets and the Victoria HarbourCats. My name is Mike Walker, filling in for Jay Longprey on this afternoon's contest after the first rainout in HarbourCats franchise history last night. We're going to have a little double-header baseball on this Saturday afternoon. 2 7-inning games on tap between the Sweets and the HarbourCats, and make no mistake, this is important baseball we have on tap. 15 games remaining in the West Coast League season. The HarbourCats trying to rally the troops here after dropping 5 of 6 on the road. They're now 18 and 21 on the season, leaving them 7.5 games back in the West Coast League's West Division, 2.5 games back in the wild card race. Meanwhile, Walla 20 and 19 on the season. They're 5 games back in the East Division, but just a half game back of the wild card spot. So lots to play for as we turn the corner here in the month of July and head down the home stretch of this West Coast League campaign. And it's a bit of a chilly afternoon for baseball here in Victoria, at least compared to what we've seen over the last couple of months here on southern Vancouver Island. It'll be 19 degrees Celsius for the start time. That's 70 degrees Fahrenheit for our American viewers and listeners. And the other big story this afternoon is the wind, which has been persistent all week long in the Victoria area. 35 kilometers an hour here at start time. That's about 21 miles an hour blowing out to left center field. So it could be an interesting afternoon for a guaranteed 14 innings of baseball. Let's introduce you to the HarbourCats starting lineup as the boys in white with blue trim take to the field here at Sports Traders Diamond. Ben Paulchuk will start in left field. Austin Gabor takes center for Victoria, and Chris Faulkner, the local boy, will play in right. At third base, Alex Degody. The shortstop is Scott Jarvis. Griffin Anderchuk will start at second base this afternoon with PJ Floyd over at first. Jackson Thorson is behind the plate, and Jonathan Buckley takes to the mound for the start, his third start of this season, and it's been great so far. Just 3 runs surrendered, 1 earned through 8 1/3 innings of his summer campaign, a 108 earned runs average for the right-hander. The starting batting order for the Walla Sweets today: Dylan Muka will lead things off. He's the right fielder. Miles Hager will bat second. He's followed by Connor Kopash, the shortstop. Then it's Juan Gomez, the designated hitter, in the cleanup position. Dylan Wilbert, the catcher, will bat fifth. Clayton Ayers follows him, and John Heckner, the left fielder, is in the 7th spot. Then the third baseman, David Geary, and rounding out the batting order for Walla this afternoon, Alex McKenna. And with that, we're ready for a little baseball here in Victoria. It's a pretty meager Saturday afternoon crowd. The scheduled start today was 7 p.m., but we're getting underway at 4 o'clock, so a few fans for this doubleheader will filter in, no doubt, as the evening moves along, and Dylan Muka will step into the left-hand side of the batter's box to get game one of our back-to-back contests going here in Victoria, and Jonathan Buckley will take his position atop the mound to start things off for Victoria. The first pitch of this ball game right down the pipe, a fastball for strike number 1, and an 0-1 count. Sun peeking out a little bit here in Victoria, which is a nice sign after a cloudy, rainy day yesterday, which forced the postponement of the series opener. Second pitch to Muka outside, and the count moves to 1-1. But still some big black gray clouds hanging over the left field side of the ballpark, so we might not be out of the woods yet. Only about a 20% chance of rain for this evening, but tomorrow, game 3, could be in jeopardy with more rain in the forecast. Muka fouls one back, and the count now 1-2 strikes against the Walla right fielder. And so far this season, it's been a struggled year for Muka. 143 the batting average, the 1-2 pitch low, and it's now even 2 balls, 2 strikes. For Muka, just 6 hits in 42 at-bats so far this year. We'll see if he can spark the stretch drive with something here this afternoon. The Centennial Colorado product takes ball 3, and he's got a full count out of Jonathan Buckley in the first batter of the afternoon. So it's Muka, Hager, and Kopach up for Walla Walla. This one pops straight up, and this will drift back and out of play, landing on top of the grandstand here at Royal Athletic Park, and that will leave the count at 3-2. Pretty good battle to get things going here on a Saturday afternoon. Muka digs back in, 3-2 pitch on the way from Jonathan Buckley. This one low and away, and Muka wins the battle. He will draw a 7-pitch leadoff walk, and right away Walla Walla has earned themselves a base runner. Not a huge offensive team, the Sweets, but they've just found that nice balance between offense and defense this year to remain in the playoff race. Should mention our home plate umpire this afternoon is Matt Lowndes. Over at first base side is Sean Sullivan, and Dan Rogers will work third for the West Coast League today. Healthy lead over at first for Muka, and this one driven into left center by Miles Hager. This will drop in the gap, and Muka rounds second. He will round third as well as the ball rolls all the way to the wall, and you can count that as a RBI double from Miles Hager. Man, he didn't waste any time at all. First pitch he saw from Jonathan Buckley, he laced out to the fence, and it is a 1-0 ball game, and so important in these 7-inning doubleheader contests to get a lead early and generate offense early in the contest. Well, Miles Hager delivers, putting one right out to the wall here in Victoria, and he scores. Dylan Muka, nothing wrong with that, a good start for the Walla Walla second baseman. So Connor Kopach, the shortstop, is now due up for the visitors, and he's got a runner in scoring position. First hit of the afternoon cashes the run for the Sweets. First pitch to home plate misses low and away, and you can count that as ball one to Connor Kopach. Big leadoff of second base for Miles Hager as he tries to stretch out his double into something more here in the top of the first inning. And the 1-0 pitch on the way from the Victoria starter Buckley. That also misses, and that will prompt Jackson Thorson, the catcher, to come out from behind home plate. He wants to chat things over with his starting pitcher. So this year, Connor Kopach has been an important part of the offense for the visiting side. .294 the batting average coming into this afternoon's doubleheader. 35 hits, and he's got 17 runs batted in. That's enough to pace the Sweets. And now he's got a 2-0 count against Buckley atop the mound on the third pitch to home plate. This time a fastball right down the middle. No mistake from the Victoria starter to get back into this count at 2-1. So a 2-1 count to home plate. Already 1-0 Walla Walla on just moments ago, an RBI double from Miles Hager. The 2-1 pitch to home, showing bunt is Kopach, but he sends it straight back into the cage behind home plate, and that will even things up at 2 strikes. On deck, Juan Gomez, the designated hitter and the cleanup batter in this lineup for Walla Walla, and the HarbourCats, meanwhile, looking for just their first out of the ball game here in the top half of inning number 1. Right back into the batter's box goes Kopach, and he is now prepared for a 2-2 pitch at home plate. Long look from Buckley up to the runner at second. No pickoff attempt, and this one also hit into left center field. On the run is Gabor, and he makes the catch, retiring Kopach for the first out of the ball game for Victoria. A fly to center field, hit in a similar position as that RBI double from Miles Hager, but it hung up in the wind a little bit, didn't quite have the pop off the bat, and that's the first out of the day. So retired is Kopach. He works his way back to the Walla Walla dugout, and Juan Gomez steps into the batter's box, still with Miles Hager perched up at second base after his RBI double to make it 1-0 Sweets. A big body, Juan Gomez from left-hand side of the plate, the right-handed batter, swing and a miss at the first offering. A breaking ball from Buckley for a 1-0 count. Get you introduced to Jonathan Buckley, 6'3", 170 pounds, is the Victoria starter out of Chino Hills, California. He's a freshman this fall at St. Mary's College. And now the right-hander takes another long look at the runner at second base before going home. Another breaking ball. This one an off-speed pitch that Gomez missed as well, just well in front of that pitch. And he's behind, no balls, 2 strikes. So a good position for Jonathan Buckley to work out of here with 1 away in the top half of the first. The designated hitter Gomez will take his time preparing for the next offering, and the Tucson, Arizona product will now take a moment to call timeout at home plate and collect his thoughts. Gomez is senior at North Dakota State University. And he digs his toes in, and with an 0-2 pitch, another breaking ball, same pitch, 3 in a row it looks like from Jonathan Buckley, but he couldn't fool the batter this time around. A foul ball will keep the count at 0-2. Gomez on the year, a .240 batting average. This is his 101st plate appearance. And he does have a couple of home runs to his name. In fact, he's tied for the team lead with 2 home runs this year and now aiming for the left field fence in Victoria. He got under this one. It's shallow left field. Back is the third baseman, Alex Degody, but it's over his head, and taking that jump is Hager going home. The play at the plate off the mark just a little bit, and Hager will score on a bloop double. A bizarre play with the third baseman and shortstop ranging into left field to try and make a catch on that ball. There was no chance. And now that ball, I believe, was tossed out of play, or what has happened here? I think they have they called interference, I believe, is what they've called down at field level. So that will allow the runner, Gomez, to advance over to third as well. So a bit of struggles here for Victoria. It's an RBI single, and then they're going to call it as fielder interference. And that moves Gomez over to third base. So an RBI for Gomez in that last play as Dylan Wilbur digs into the batter's box, and with 1 away in this inning, he takes a first pitch ball from Jonathan Buckley, and Gomez now 90 feet away from making this a 3-0 game in the first inning. That second offering to Wilbert in the dirt. And that'll move to ball number 2. So a bit of confusion in the infield for Victoria on that last play. A tough ball for both Degody and Scott Jarvis, who were trying to make their way out to left field and just couldn't ring it in. And that left third base vacant, allowed Hager to score. And now here's a little chopper from Wilbert to the third base side. Degody will fire to first for the ground out. Took his time going over to first in order to keep Juan Gomez parked at third base. But there are now 2 away in this inning with the 5-3 ground out. So the first 2 batters in this ball game reaching on a walk and a double. They have both scored. That's Muka and Hager respectively. Now Gomez, after his RBI single, over at third base, and stepping into the batter's box with 2 away in the top of the first is Clayton Ayers. First pitch he sees, outside, ball 1, nicely knocked down by Jackson Thorson. He'll get a round of applause from the home crowd here in Victoria to keep that ball at the plate and prevent Gomez from sneaking home from third base. 1-0 the count as Buckley, who's given up a couple of hits and a couple of runs here in this first inning, leans down, looks down the pipe, and his second pitch to home plate in Ayers is popped up right field side. Back is Griffin Anderchuk. Tough ball in the wind, and last minute he's called off by Chris Fogner, who makes the catch and ends inning number 1. A bit of a strange start to this ball game for the home side. They give up an RBI double from Miles Hager and then an RBI base hit off the bat of Juan Gomez, and it is 1-0 in favor of the Walla Sweets. We come back for the bottom of the first. When we return, you're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com. Welcome back to Sports Traders Diamond at Royal Athletic Park. My name is Mike Walker, filling in for Jay Longpre this afternoon. A Saturday doubleheader between the Walla Sweets and the Victoria HarbourCats. And it started on the right note for the visitors. Walla with 2 runs in the top half of the first inning. And now we'll see what Victoria has to offer in the bottom of the first. Let's introduce you to the defensive starting lineup for the Sweets. John Heckner will start in left field. Alex McKenna is in center, while Dylan Muka will take right field duties this afternoon for the Sweets. Third baseman is David Geary. At shortstop is Connor Kopash. The second baseman, Miles Hager, while Clayton Ayers will patrol first base. The catcher, Dylan Wilbert, while starting pitcher for the Walla Sweets is West Coast League All-Star Micah Gorman. The batting lineup for Victoria, Kevin Collard will start things off for the HarbourCats this afternoon. Then it's Griffin Anderchuk, the second baseman. He's followed by Austin Gabor. The left fielder, Ben Paulshuk, will bat cleanup. The catcher, Jackson Thorishin, is next. Then it's PJ Floyd, Chris Fogner, the shortstop, Scott Jarvis, and Alex Dugodi to round out the starting 9 for Victoria. First pitch to Kevin Collard at home plate. He pops this one a mile high, third base side. David Geary, the third baseman, calls it, battles the wind a little bit, and makes the catch. And it's a 1-pitch out for the starter, Micah Gorman. No complaints there. The fly ball to third base retires Kevin Collard. So Griffin Anderchuk steps into the batter's box, and he is a birthday boy today. One of the longest standing Victoria HarbourCats, the second baseman, stepping into the batter's box, looking for a little birthday victory and a doubleheader start to this series. And he will square off against Micah Gorman to lead things off here in the bottom half of inning number 1. First pitch, he sees a high offering for ball number 1 and a 1-0 count. Anderchuk out of Nanaimo, BC, just about an hour 45 north of Victoria here on Vancouver Island. Second pitch he sees, popped up right side, another pop-up for Victoria. This time it's on the other side of the infield, and Clayton Ayers is there to make the catch. And 2 pop-ups are the first 2 outs of this ball game against the Victoria HarbourCats. So Anderchuk retired, and Austin Gabor will dig into the batter's box, and it certainly looks like Micah Gorman is dialed in after competing at the West Coast League All-Star game just a few days ago. It's been an excellent year for Gorman on the mound. A 292 earned runs average, a 7-1 record in 8 games, and 40 innings pitched. First pitch this time around to Austin Gabor, ball 1, and the Fresno State product batting from the left-hand side. Will set for the second pitch. This time catches the strike zone on a fastball, and it evens up at 1-1. Just 4 pitches into this afternoon's ball game here, and the HarbourCats 2 away already in this inning. The next offering to Gabor misses low, and a concerted effort from the Victoria center fielder to take a few pitches after both Collard and Anderchuk were retired in short order. 2-1 the count, 2-0 Walla over Victoria early on in this 7-inning affair, the first half of our doubleheader this afternoon. Game 2 of this series scheduled to start about 6:35 as the count moves to 3-1 against Gabor. For Gabor this year, it's a .272 batting average, and he watches ball 4 miss wide, and after a couple of quick outs for Micah Gorman, it'll be a base on balls issued to Austin Gabor, and he'll trot his way down to first base, which opens the door for Ben Paulshuk and a bit of offense here from the HarbourCats in the bottom of inning number 1. It's been a good year for Paulshuk, a .293 batting average. 17 hits in 58 at-bats through 20 games this year. And Paulshuk out of Clayton, California, who I believe has family in the stands this weekend, will swing at his first pitch. Shallow right field, on the run, Dylan Muka. He is there in plenty of time to retire the side, and it's a good offensive start in the top of 1 and a better defensive start in the bottom half of the frame for the Walla Sweets. 2-0 through 1 complete inning in Victoria. We'll be back. You're watching HarbourCats Baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
Feeling like something cold, creamy, and refreshing? Go to Jackson's Ice Cream Truck, the best in town. And of course, on the third base side of the picnic area, we've got Boys Diner. Pick up the game program from one of our volunteers today for only $2. All our friends get $5 credit from $2 for a few more. Get a program for your chance to win prizes. Fill in the form on page 28. No matter how fast you can throw a baseball, HarbourCats 355 in Tampa construction are ready to help you find out now on the midway, which goes to the homeless radar run. 2 hours for the 3 pitches, all proceeds go to two-way society. On the moment of the bench,
You pitcher already? We like the other guy. It's not fellas.
That's correct. Yes, we're up
now
top in the
pitching
second.
for your HarbourCats, number 32, Dave Vanderford. This is a Restart Computer pitching game brought to you by our friends at Restart Computers.
Well, to the bottom, or to the top half of inning number 2, we go here in Victoria, and already a pitching change in the cards for the HarbourCats, as Jonathan Buckley's afternoon has come to an end through just 1 inning pitched. Gave up 2 hits and a couple of runs, and that brings Tay Vanderford to the mound for the home side. And a bit of a change here, a short leash from Greg Merritt, the Victoria manager, obviously with just 15 games remaining in the schedule and a 7-inning contest this afternoon. Not a whole lot of room for error, and Vanderford draws into this game. His 5th appearance of the season, mostly been a relief guy for Victoria this year. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs against, and a couple of strikeouts, so a 3.0 ERA for Vanderford, who's out of Glendale, California, and a junior at the University of Tennessee, but he steps into this game now as a member of the Victoria HarbourCats, and the order he'll see from Walla here in the top half of inning number 2 is the 7, 8, 9 batters, John Heckner, David Geary, and Alex McKenna. So Heckner will stride his way into the batter's box to get a first look at Tay Vanderford here in our 2nd inning of play this afternoon. Heckner is the left fielder for these Walla Sweets. And this will be his first plate appearance of the afternoon. The first pitch he sees is a high fastball for ball number 1 and a 1-0 count. Taking a peek at the season statistics for John Heckner, a .260 batting average. Second offering he sees outside, ball 2. Heckner with 36 games under his belt, one of the journeymen in this lineup. In fact, only he and Kopash have played 36 this year. Ball 3, so 3 straight misses out of the gate here for Vanderford atop the mound, the right-handed relief pitcher for Victoria here in the 2nd inning. This time he can't get the 4th pitch to go either, and it's going to be a 4-pitch walk out of the bullpen for Tay Vanderford, and not exactly the way he envisioned this appearance going. And right away, out from behind home plate, Jackson Thorson, the catcher, has a few signals for the infield as David Geary steps into the batter's box. He is the Sweets' 3rd baseman. Geary, a left-handed batter, trying to add to the offense already in this game. The Richmond, Virginia product, with a runner on first. First pitch he sees, this time framed up by Thorson for a called strike. and an 0-1 count. And hopefully that'll allow Tate Vanderford to settle in a little bit here atop the Victoria mound. A couple of big strides over off first base for John Heckner, who's there after a 4-pitch walk to lead off this second inning. And too far for Vanderford as he took a glance over and then stepped off the mound. And the count is still 0-1 at home plate. Second pitch on the way from Vanderford down to Geary, and this time a fastball, similar spot, not quite catching the outside of the zone, and that'll even things up. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Geary trying to continue the offensive spark that Walla Walla found in the first inning. 2 runs on 2 hits after a leadoff walk, and it's been a leadoff walk here in the second, and now the runner breaks for second. The throw from the catcher, however, into center field, and that will allow Heckner to go all the way from first to third on a stolen base and an error charged to Jackson Thorson on the impending overthrow. And it was a late break from first base for Heckner, and Thorson was waiting for the steal, got a good opportunity to get the ball away, but threw it about 3 feet over the head of the second baseman Griffin Anderchuk. So a stolen base and then an E2 to move Heckner from first to third, and the count now 2-1 to David Geary at home plate, and he drops this one into left field on the run. Diving stab by the left fielder Ben Paulshock, and then the throw to home plate not in time. It'll count as a sacrifice fly, but if not for a great catch in left field from Paulshock, that would have been even more trouble for Victoria. Instead, Geary is retired, and another run is up on the board for Walla Walla to make this a 3-0 game. Great play in left field from Paulshock, and in fact he had a good chance at the out at home plate as well, but the throw was so on target it hit the runner coming home in the back, and there was really no play for Thorson to apply the tag. So 1 away, top of 2, now 3-0 in favor of Walla Walla, and Vanderford's leadoff walk in this inning comes back to burn him on that sac fly. The first pitch he offers to Alex McKenna misses high and outside for ball 1 and a 1-0 count. Second pitch on the way as the center fielder McKenna gets his first plate appearance of this series opener. McKenna out of Mission Hills, California, a freshman at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. 2-0 pitch. This time catches the strike zone, and the count now moves to 2 balls, 1 strike with 1 away in the top of inning number 2, and that means Dylan Muka will get his second plate appearance of this ball game in just a few moments. 2 on the count, swing and a miss, and that evens things up at 2-2. That time, Tate Vanderford just overpowered the batter McKenna, who's hitting in the 9-hole in the series opener this afternoon. McKenna, the right-handed batter, set for a 2-2 pitch at home plate. Swing and a miss, dropped third strike, but up right away to apply the tag is Thorson, and that's the first strikeout of this ball game. That'll count as the second out here in the inning and bring us back to the top of the order with Dylan Muka set to dig in. Muka fell behind 0-2 to our starter, Jonathan Buckley, in his first plate appearance, and then hung around with 3 straight balls, a couple of fouls, and then drew a leadoff walk and eventually scored the opening run of the ball game. So no at-bats recorded so far for Muka, but he does have 1 run to his credit on the stats line already today. First pitch he sees from Tate Vanderford, the new reliever for Victoria, high and outside for ball 1 and a 1-0 count. Muka, the right fielder for these Sweets, hoping he can bring Miles Hager to the dish next. And the second pitch he sees, this one's right down the pipe, and it's 1-1. Not a big statured guy, Dylan Muka, from the left-hand side of the batter's box. This time he fouls one straight back into the netting. He's listed at 6 foot, but he's only 160 pounds. doesn't necessarily have the power that you might see in the heart of this Walla Walla lineup. But even that said, they're not a team that's really been a big offensive unit. They're 9th in the West Coast League with 169 runs coming in, now 172 on the year with their 3 today. It's now 2-2 as Vanderford couldn't connect on that latest offering to Muka to even the count at home plate. They only have 7 home runs in comparison to the HarbourCats, who play in a long ball friendly Royal Athletic, who have 21. Latest pitch to Muka, fouled off down the third base side, just about 15 feet to the left of the baseline. And the count moves to 2-2. So really, this is an evenly balanced Walla Walla team. Not great offensive numbers, not stellar defensive numbers, just somewhere in between. And they're a half game back of a playoff spot with 15 to play. Latest pitch from Tay Vanderford, well low and outside, and it's a full count at home plate to Dylan Muka, 3-2. And Muka just hoping to extend this inning with 2 away in the top of the second. Swing and a miss. He will not do so as Vanderford picks up back-to-back strikeouts after a leadoff walk, which led to a run. It is 3-0 in favor of the Walla Walla Sweets, and you're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
I am photographer Christian J. Stewart for 17. We are hoping to follow on the game to provide all the action. On your photo cameras and follow the name on independentsportsnews.com. Time to Colin Farrell, staff on the game directed by Colin Farrell. Today's staff. Ties in with our unique situation. The HarbourCats have been involved in how many doubleheaders in team history? One last year, Coward was down 2 this year. It was the very first rain on the team's history at home last night. Earlier this season, HarbourCats were rained out in Final Falls and won both ends of the doubleheader in Oregon. After today, 3 doubleheaders only, that holds for a while. That's our Colin Farrell staff out of the game.
To the bottom half of the second inning we go here at Sports Traders Diamond in Victoria. My name is Mike Walker, filling in for Jay Longpre in Go Live broadcast this afternoon. Thanks for joining us for Game 1 of our Saturday doubleheader, and it'll be the first 2 games of this 3-game set between Walla Walla and Victoria. In fact, it's the only time these 2 teams will lock horns this summer in the West Coast League schedule, and comes at a pretty important time for both sides as Jackson Thorson steps into the batter's box for Victoria to lead off the bottom of 2, and he takes 1 pitch for ball 1 and then caught that one on the leg for a hit by pitch, and Jackson Thorson gets a free pass down to first base, and the pitcher, the starter for the Sweets, Micah Gorman, has something to say about it, and out of the dugout, well, here comes the manager to have a chat. Frank Moots wants a few words with our home plate umpire this afternoon, wants to discover what was in Matt Lowndes' thought process here. Thought maybe Jackson Thorson was into the path of that pitch a little more than was acceptable. He's not going to win the argument. Well, now our home plate umpire is going to confer with our first base ump, and in comes Sean Sullivan to discuss if this is going to stand as a hit by pitch. I think it's going to, despite the protests of Micah Gorman and Frank Moots, the manager of these Sweets. So a hit by pitch stands to Thorson, and that's a base runner for Victoria. Their second base runner of the game, despite not registering a hit just yet. It was a walk in the first inning, and now Thorson a hit by pitch here in the second. And PJ Floyd will dig in for the HarbourCats, who trailed 3-0 early in this 7-inning affair, trying to find an offensive spark as the bats have dried up a little bit. A throw over to first from Gorman to keep tabs on Jackson Thorson. The offense just hasn't been there for the HarbourCats in the last 5 games. Just a .203 team batting average, 31 hits. as this latest offering, a called strike. And that'll be 0-1 the count against PJ Floyd, the Victoria first baseman. Floyd out of Rockland, California, a freshman at Sacramento State. And steps back in. The left-handed batter will watch the next pitch, and that's also a called strike, 2 in a row, delivered by Micah Gorman. And he's ahead 0-2 after a productive first inning. Trying to duplicate that here in the second against these HarbourCats. No balls, 2 strikes, third pitch to home plate, grounder up the middle, chance for 2. Hager flips to the shortstop, Kopach back to first, and it's a double play. So Micah Gorman didn't like the hit by pitch call on Jackson Thorson. Well, he makes up for it by getting a little help from his infield to turn the double play. And there are 2 away just like that here in the bottom half of inning number 2. So you can count it as a 4-6-3 double play. And that'll bring Chris Faulkner to home plate. The Victoria product swings at the first offering and misses to fall behind 0-1. Faulkner wearing number 23. Gets his first look at Micah Gorman after that double play. The second pitch bounces out of the catcher's glove, and Dylan Wilbur will shake that off despite a jeer from the crowd here in Victoria as the count moves to 1-1. 1-1 the count. .296 the batting average for Faulkner this year as he takes a called strike and now falls behind 1-2. Faulkner with 24 hits and 14 runs, but also 17 strikeouts, which places him among the Victoria team leaders. And there is number 18 called looking as Micah Gorman gets the double play and then rings up Chris Faulkner standing at home plate, and that will complete inning number 2. It's 3-0 in favor of the Walla Sweets, and you're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
On your marks. Get set. Go.
Top half of inning number 3 here in Victoria as the wind continues to gust out to left center field at Royal Athletic Park. On a chilly afternoon for baseball, the air temperature isn't too bad, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Celsius, but the wind has certainly cooled things off. First pitch. Sees ground ball, third base side, shortstop is there for a long throw, just in time. Scott Jarvis guns out the runner at first, and there is one away to start this third inning with a bang. Hager looked like he was almost there, but what a dart from Scott Jarvis over to PJ Floyd, who completed the stretch at first, and that will be a flashy 6-3 ground out for our first batter away here in the top of the third inning. So that'll bring Connor Kopach to the batter's box here. And inning number 3 brought to you by Sports Traders, carrying everything from yoga mats and athletic wear for the whole family to inline skates. Visit them at 608 Discovery Street in Victoria. 0-1 count as Connor Kopach 0-for-1 in this game after a fly out to center field in the first inning. This one a liner out to right field. Long run for Faulkner. He's not going to get there as it drops about 10 feet to the left of the line. Tries for 2 and slides in safely. a sliding double as the throw looked like it might be there in time from Faulkner in right field, but Kopash gets around the tag and has a double for his first hit of the afternoon, and you can count it as the third hit of the day for the Walla Walla Sweets. So that'll bring up the heart of the order and batting cleanup. Juan Gomez, the designated hitter, he had an RBI single in his first plate appearance. Now has a chance for another run batted in here with a runner in scoring position after that double from Kopash. First pitch he sees, however, popped up, and that'll drift out of play behind us for strike number one, and that moves it to an 0-1 count. Neglected to mention earlier in the game, our starting lineup sponsor as well. Starting lineups were brought to you by Wilson's Transportation, locally owned and operated since 1962 with over 90 vehicles to rent. The Wilson's Transportation is the official carrier of the Victoria HarbourCats. 0-1 count to Juan Gomez at home plate. Connor Kopak stands up at second, hoping to cash in for the first time, and a timeout called at home as Gomez will step out and think things over for a moment before the second pitch from Ty Vanderford, who came into this game in the second inning after Jonathan Buckley, the Victoria starter, was chased after just one inning. Runner breaks for third, and there'll be defensive indifference here on a called strike at home plate. So Kopak scampers down to third and now stands 90 feet away from a 4-0 Walla Walla lead. 0-2 the count as Vanderford goes into his motion again. A swing and a miss, dropped third strike. The catcher will look off the runner at third, and Thorson fires down to first to complete the strikeout. And that'll be the second batter away for the Sweets here in this inning. A swinging strikeout against Gomez to bring Dylan Wilbert into the batter's box. So Wilbert will step in with a runner at third base. Connor Kopak, who reached on a double a few moments ago, and the HarbourCats try to escape the third inning unscathed and put a 0 on the scoreboard for these Sweets for the first time this afternoon. 1-0 the count. And it's a healthy lead as Kopak had no trouble whatsoever advancing down to third base from second on an indifference. 1-0 pitch, outside again, 2 balls. No strikes to Dylan Wilbert, who is the catcher for these Walla Walla Sweets. And Wilbert hitting .226 on the season. Set for the third offering. This time it is a called strike, and the count now 2-1. Wilbert with 14 hits to his name, 4 batted in so far this year. In his 23 games of experience, called strike, and the count now 2-2. So Kopak patiently awaiting a chance to come home over at third base, and Wilbert hoping to extend this inning and extend this Walla Walla lead. Swing and a miss, however, and Vanderford gets the punch out. Back-to-back strikeouts for the Victoria pitcher to retire the side and blank the Sweets in the third. It remains 3-0 in favor of the visitors. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television at HarbourCats.com.
The tail on the whale.
Did I get in there?
I apologize. Pom-pom, you can't chase.
I'm not unsanitary.
Yes, you are. Oh, Ronnie's Yes. Yeah, Barney. You're not alone. And is it going to stay on? Or just am I going to stay? I can't do it. I couldn't hear anything.
Can you not tie it bigger? Alright, go ahead. I said, I was telling you not to tie it.
You both win. I know. I was like, no matter what.
Alright. There. That was, hey, you know what? Nice ride, Harvey.
We go to the bottom half of inning number 3 here in Victoria as the Sunshine makes an appearance in the first of a 3-game set between the Walla Sweets and the Victoria HarbourCats. My name is Mike Walker. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. And just another reminder, this is the first of a doubleheader here on this Saturday, so it'll be 2 7-inning games after the first home rainout in HarbourCats franchise history last night. But the Cats trailing 3-0 in the 3rd inning of this one, and Scott Jarvis set to lead things off for the home team. It's batters 8, 9, and 1 in the lineup. Jarvis, Alex Degody, and Kevin Collard due up for the HarbourCats here in the 3rd inning. Still working out on the mound, getting a swing and a miss out of Jarvis is Micah Gorman. He has been untouched so far, hasn't given up a hit, and in fact has just given up the 1 free pass and a hit by pitch thus far. And Jarvis will watch the 3rd offering miss outside for a 2-1 count at home plate. So Victoria, for the first time, set to get through their batting order here in the 3rd inning. And the 2-1 pitch now, swing and tipped back, foul for a 2-2 count. Jarvis is the Victoria HarbourCats shortstop this afternoon. Out of San Jose, California, and attending the University of California, Los Angeles campus. 2-2 pitch, swing, and a miss. It's another strikeout for Gorman, and that'll be out number 1 in this inning as Gorman picks up his 2nd K of the afternoon. So, fan favorite Alex Degody sent to step into the batter's box and try and ignite this Victoria offense. A .238 batting average this year for Degody, who hails from Miami, Florida, and is a sophomore at Long Beach State. First pitch he'll see from Gorman, he will watch a called strike and an 0-1 count. So Gorman, a West Coast League All-Star this year, Alex Degody an All-Star last year for these Victoria HarbourCats. Timeout called at home plate as Degody will take a moment to compose himself, and that timeout granted by the home plate umpire, Matt Lowndes. Now the 0-1 pitch on the way from Walla's right-handed starter, in this offering to Degody, chopped down the first base side. This is an easy one for Clayton Ayers. He'll pitch it back over to the pitcher, and there are 2 away here in the inning. So an easy ground ball, not much pop off the bat of Degody for the 3-1 ground out. We go back to the top of the Victoria order, and it's been business as usual from Micah Gorman so far here in this ball game. And Kevin Collard will try and change that for the home side, the designated hitter. 0 for 1 on the day after a pop out to the 3rd baseman to lead off the ball game in the bottom of the 1st. First pitch he sees here in the 3rd, swing and a miss, strike 1, and an 0-1 count. And Collard, who hails from Vista, California, set for his 2nd pitch at home plate. This time a ground ball right up the middle of the infield. And there's the first hit of the afternoon for the HarbourCats as Collard picks up the single and will trot down to first base. And you can count that as his team-leading 31st hit of the season. So with Collard down at first, that'll bring Griffin Anderchuk to home plate for Victoria. Collard, who leads the HarbourCats in most offensive categories, runs, hits, doubles, home runs, and RBI, hoping to pad those numbers a little bit with the help of his teammates. Anderchuk popped out to the first baseman in his first plate appearance this afternoon, and the birthday boy, his first pitch this time around, breaks outside for ball 1 and a 1-0 count. Coming into this game, Anderchuk had a team-leading batting average of .328, 19 hits and 58 at-bats this year for the Nanaimo product. And with an 0-1 count, big lead over at first base for Collard as Gorman will try the pickoff attempt. That bounces away from the first baseman, and Collard is going to cruise into second base uncontested. That one bounced just in front of first base, and Clayton Ayers had difficulty running down the ball because it hopped up over Anderchuk, and the first baseman for the Swedes had to run around the Victoria base runner, and that allows Victoria to advance to scoring position on the E1. And for the first time this afternoon, Victoria has put a runner into scoring position. 0-1 the count to Griffin Anderchuk with 2 away here in the third. This one a called strike, and we move to 0-2 at home plate. Anderchuk, who, like Degody, has become a familiar face around Royal Athletic Park over the last couple of summers. Trying to drive home his 11th RBI of the season here. If he can dig out a hit out of Gorman, a breaking ball this time will slide across for a strike, and now the count is 1-2. Apologies, I had mentioned it was 0-2, but that was 1-1, and now we're at 1 ball, 2 strike to Griffin Anderchuk. A 10-foot lead off of second base for Kevin Collard, not watched too closely by the Walla infielders, and this one misses, so it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Griffin Anderchuk, showing a bit of patience at home plate on a tough pitch to lay off from Micah Gorman with 2 away here in the third inning. Mentioned a couple times already, Victoria's offense in a lull here at the worst possible time down the home stretch of the regular season, and an opportunity maybe to spark it from Griffin Anderchuk here. With Austin Gabor, Ben Paulshock, and Jackson Thoris in the heart of the order, hoping to get in before this inning comes to a close. 2-2 the count. And Micah Gorman slows his pace with the base runner on now. A long look at second, and the 2-2 pitch to Anderchuk. Chopper to the third base side, but foul, and will reset back up to second base. Will go Kevin Collard, and Anderchuk will retake his place in the batter's box. A bit of a battle emerging here between the Victoria second baseman and the Sweets starting pitcher. Anderchuk takes a moment to look down the third base side at his advice from the Victoria coaching staff. And again, with 2 away in this inning, Collard takes a healthy lead off of second. The 2-2 pitch to Anderchuk just outside. That didn't miss by much, and now it's a full count, which grants Collard the opportunity to get a bit of a head start from second base. And what becomes a virtual hit and run here if Anderchuk is able to make contact and find some open field in this Walla Walla defense. 3-2 the count. And again, Gorman will come set on the mound. The full count offering misses wide, and you can count that as a victory 1 for Griffin Anderchuk as he draws ball number 4 after a 7-pitch at bat and trots down to first base. So 2 runners on for Austin Gabor, the Victoria center fielder, who drew a walk in his only plate appearance. It was a 2-out walk back in the first inning. And now Gabor has the chance to advance things and put the home team on the scoreboard here in inning number 3. .272 the batting average so far this year for the left-handed bat in this heart of Victoria's lineup. Ball number 1 is the first offering he gets from Micah Gorman. And Gabor will just take his time to dig back into the batter's box. Bit of a shift here defensively for Walla Walla with the shortstop Miles Hager playing way back into right field, anticipating the ball coming that direction, and the shortstop Connor Kopak is almost standing behind second base. 1-1 the count. After a ball and a called strike now to Austin Gabor. And the third pitch Micah Gorman will offer up to the Victoria center fielder. with 2 away in this inning, is swung on but fouled off right toward the Victoria dugout, and you can move the count now to 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Victoria threatening to get on the scoreboard for the first time this afternoon, trailing 3-0 against these Walla Walla Sweets, and the first of a doubleheader matchup, 2 7-inning games this afternoon at Sports Traders Diamond at Royal Athletic Park.
Take another, right there.
And the 1-2 pitch now on the way from Micah Gorman. This one swung on, and again, just a bit too anxious. Austin Gabor fouls this down the first base side. A couple of times in a row, he's seen a pitch that he thought he could work with, but just came around a little too quickly, and now needs to straighten it out with back-to-back foul balls. So 1-2 remains the count as the crowd begins to fill in a little bit here in Victoria as the sun pokes out and we near closer to our scheduled start time. 1-2 count and timeout called at home plate. Austin Gabor at the dish wasn't going to allow Micah Gorman to think over a pickoff attempt too much longer, and the runners retreat back as everyone takes a breath and resets. And it's a 1-2 pitch on the way with 2 away here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And this one inside for ball 2. And now the game slows right down to a snail's pace as a bit of a chess match emerges here between the Victoria batters. Micah Gorman made his way through the Victoria lineup in short order. In fact, retired all but 1 batter in the first 9 that he saw. But now it's 2 in a row to reach for the HarbourCats, and Austin Gabor is trying to make it 3. Pickoff attempt to second base, and oh man, just back in time is Kevin Collar, and it looked like perhaps Connor Kopak, the shortstop, had got the tag under his arm just in time, but the runner is safe, and the count remains 2-2 at home to Austin Gabor. Still 2 away here in this 3rd inning, and the HarbourCats threatening, and Gabor will ground one up the middle, but there on the shift is Kopak, and his throw to first right on target to end the 3rd and strand a pair of cats. It remains 3-0 in favor of the Walla Walla Sweets. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
Great, thanks, Dan. Listen, I'm up here on the platform up here. We have some very special guests with us here today. I'm going to ask them, as they call them, to stand up. We have a bunch of family members of our players here this weekend. How about a big applause for them for coming out to see their sons. And thank you for giving us your sons for the summer. Where are the bull shots? Stand up. You got to stand up and stay standing while we do this, please. The Norman Mills. The Norman Mills. No, stay standing. The O'Manas, where are the O'Manas sitting at? There we go. How about Blaze, the Blaze family? How about the Gabor family? Where's the Gabor family? Keep standing. How about the Vanderford family? The Vanderford family. No one's getting out of this. You gotta stand up. The Jarvis family as well. The Thorson family, I saw them talking earlier that they are over there. The Buckleys, John Buckley's sister and brother-in-law are here. The Wojtysiak family, where are the Wojtysiak family? Where are you guys? People standing up, there we go. And the mom of Joe Miggs, one of our coaches, is here as well. Joe. And the Andersons are here, and the Faulkners are here. They're always here.
I was going to say, the Faulkners are here.
Thank you very much for giving us your sons for the summer. We appreciate it. We hope you had a good time here. Beware.
Top half of inning number 4 on the way from Victoria. This is HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com. Thanks for joining us for this Saturday afternoon doubleheader between the Walla Walla Sweets and the HarbourCats, and the crowd here in Victoria acknowledging several of the HarbourCats parents and families in the crowd for this weekend set on southern Vancouver Island as we get underway in the 4th inning, and it's a hard grounder off the bat of Clayton Ayers that bounces off the chest of the 3rd baseman Alex Tagoti. He's unable to make a play on that ball, and Ayers will work his way down to first base with a leadoff single here in the 4th inning. A hot shot that Tagoti just couldn't handle the bounce on, and Ayers will continue the offense for the Sweets. Their 4th hit of the game will get things going here in the top half of inning number 4. So Ayers, John Heckner, and David Geary, the batters, due up in this frame for the visitors, with Tay Vanderford still on the mound for Victoria, and his first pitch now on the way to Heckner. He drops down the bunt but fouled it off for strike 1, and the count 0-1. A lot of speed over at first base from Clayton Ayers. We'll keep a close eye on him. You never know if he's going to make an effort at his 3rd stolen base of the season. Couple of conservative strides off of first ahead of the 1-2 pitch for John Heckner. And a pickoff attempt from Vanderford. Not really a strong effort at an out over at first base as he kind of lofted one over to his first baseman, P.J. Floyd. 1-0 the count to Heckner, and the split stance of Ty Vanderford takes a long look over at first, and again a toss over. This one bounces in front of P.J. Floyd, and he knocks it down to hold the ball in play. And now, freshly coated in dirt, Clayton Ayers will take a moment to compose himself and take 2 strides off of first with John Heckner still in the batter's box. 1-0 pitch. This is a pickoff attempt. It goes off the tip of the catcher's glove, and that's an easy advance as that backfired on the HarbourCats. It was a pickoff attempt. The runner wasn't going. Ayers was parked on first, but as Jackson Thorson got up for the throw, it hit the rim of his glove, and that will allow the runner to advance up to second base. So just like that, another Sweet in scoring position, and Heckner's got himself an opportunity in an RBI with a 2-0 count here. Vanderford with a look at the runner. Now a bunt attempt and a nicely executed bunt on the third base side. To Goldie with a stab from third, not in time. And the runner with a big lead off of third, a big turn on third after advancing on that sacrifice bunt that works out perfectly. It'll be an infield single for Heckner to advance the runner up to third base, and the defense has been not sharp for Victoria here in game 1 of this series. They haven't made a ton of mistakes, but they just haven't made those key plays, and that bunt ends up a base hit, the 5th of the day for Walla. So counted as back-to-back singles to put John Heckner on first and Ayers at third, and now David Geary steps into the batter's box, and the Walla third baseman has got all kinds of opportunity here in the top half of inning number 4 to extend a 3-0 lead. First pitch you'll see from Tay Vanderford. Check swing, he holds it back for ball 1 and a 1-0 count. Geary in the batter's box. Alex McKenna due up next. Geary, a sacrifice RBI in his first plate appearance. In fact, he was the one that made it 3-0. 1-0 count. Double steal wasn't a fact, and now a pickoff attempt, and the HarbourCats will get the runner going from first to second, as Ayers thought about going home but stayed parked when he realized that Heckner was in trouble going for second base, and a heads-up play from Tay Vanderford to step off, assess the situation, and then flip it up to Griffin Andrzejczak for one away in this inning. Caught stealing is Heckner. And still with a runner at third base, there is now one away for Victoria. So the 1-0 pitch to home, this one driven into right field. In is Chris Faulkner. He will make the catch, and he's got a chance at the plate. In fact, his throw was right on target, and that holds the runner at third. Nice play from Chris Faulkner and right to make the catch, and he came up gunning. And almost certainly the runner, Clayton Ayers, would have been in trouble on his way to home plate with a throw like that, but he thinks better of it, holds tight, and there are two away in this inning, and Tay Vanderford, with the help of a pickoff of his own, has an opportunity to get out of this fourth inning unscathed. So that brings Alex McKenna to the batter's box for his second plate appearance of the day. A strikeout the first time around, and the first offering he sees from Vandeford is ball one and a 1-0 count. And it's still Clayton Ayers after his leadoff single over at third base. The 1-0 pitch he sees is popped up. Shallow center field. There is Austin Gabor. He calls off Ben Paulshock and retires the side. And Tate Vandeford has given up a couple of hits, but he got out of the third just fine and duplicates that feat here in the fourth. It remains 3-0 in favor of the visitors, but the Cats are back to the bats when we return on HarbourCats Baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
For the last 3 years, Sweetwood Diane Garrett, they've got reserved seating / parking here for them. And sir, what is it you like most about HarbourCats Baseball?
I have no idea that he pitched. Nobody said it. You went first to me, right, John?
It's a good point. They also support great fans and great community members. Alright, Jim Morris wants some fan favorites all around. Alright, thank you very much. This is Stuart Diane. We're going to set them to Moxie's with a gift certificate and back to the game.
We're off to the bottom half of inning number 4 here in Victoria. This fourth inning of play brought to you by Wilson's Transportation. With over 90 vehicles to rent, they are the official carrier of the Victoria HarbourCats, who are trailing 3-0 through 3.5 here in Victoria. Let's update you on the West Coast League out-of-town scoreboard. This is the only game currently underway. It's the series opener between Walla and Victoria, with Game 2 set for a little later this evening. At 6:35 tonight, Bend will take on Kelowna, two big division leaders clashing in the Okanagan this evening. Bellingham is up against Medford, and Kitsap will also take on the Cowlitz Black Bears as well. Corvallis is in Klamath Falls, and then the late start tonight, the Yakima Valley Pippins taking on the Wenatchee Apple Sox. That game goes at 7:05 this evening. So back to this game here in Victoria. It's the heart of the HarbourCats order, trying to find their second hit of the game and their first run of the afternoon against Micah Gordon, the starter for the Walla Sweets. And this one driven to straightaway center field by Paulshock, and back at the edge of the warning track is the center fielder Alex McKenna. He makes the catch for out number 1, and man, if not for that ball being at straightaway center field where the fence is 390, that would have almost certainly carried out of the ballpark, but instead it's a long fly ball for Ben Paulshock and one away here in the bottom half of inning number 4. So Thorson steps into the batter's box. He was hit by a pitch and then a victim of a double play, and he just sends a little dribbler out in front of the plate, but out to make the play is Dylan Wilbert, the catcher. He throws on to first, and there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And a couple of innings now where Victoria has fallen behind with 2 quick out and have some work to do in trying to spark a late inning rally. So PJ Floyd set to dig in the bottom of 4, and keep in mind we're only playing 7 innings today, so we're past the halfway point of Game 1 of this series, with 7 more innings in Game 2 scheduled to start about 6:35 local time here in Victoria. 1-0 pitch on the way to PJ Floyd. He sends a lacer right at the first baseman, and it bounces up and over the glove of Clayton Ayers, and that gets all the way to the corner. Floyd is going for 2 and slides in safely with a double. So an extra base hit right down the line from PJ Floyd, and after driving into a double play in his first plate appearance, that's pretty good redemption for the Victoria first baseman. And he takes his place with Chris Fogner digging in after a strikeout in his first at-bat of the day. With a runner in scoring position this time around, we'll see if the left-handed batting Fogner can dig up some offense for the home team. Micah Gorman will take a look at the runner at second. First pitch to Faulkner, a weak dribbler to the shortstop. Kopak is there, and he throws on to first for out number 3. Another quick inning from Micah Gorman on the mound, and the Cats remain blank through 4. It's 3-0 in favor of the Sweets. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
Harvey is going to be a part of the medium tournament at the base race. Today he will be racing against Walker. Walker, keep going. All right, they're going to race from first base, second, third base. They're like retiring before the race. All right, on your marks. Yes, set, go. Speaking of
Good job! You're so fast!
All right, folks, if you want to win $500 from the meeting, you got a HarbourCats loyalty card. Enter your name for HarbourCats card with INS. Text 33344 and message Victoria. Again, that's 33344 message Victoria. Joe Cats.
What's going on?
Inning number 5 on tap in Victoria. We're moving with quite a pace this afternoon, just over an hour and 15 minutes into game number 1 of our Saturday doubleheader to open this series between the Sweets and the HarbourCats. A pretty pivotal series if you look at the West Coast League standings. The Cats come in 2.5 games back of the wild card spot, while the Sweets are just a half game back of that final playoff spot, the wild card opportunity. With 15 games remaining in this West Coast League season. So games 1 and 2 of this series tonight. Game 3 scheduled for 1:05 tomorrow afternoon. Weather depending as the gray clouds roll in again here in Victoria as Tay Vanderford hurls the first pitch of inning number 5 and misses the strike zone with ball number 1 to Dylan Muka, who will lead things off for Walla in this frame. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout, but did score after a leadoff walk in the first inning, and the second pitch he sees is a called strike to move things to 1-1 at home plate. Muka, the right fielder, will be followed by Miles Hager and Connor Kopak here in this 5th inning of play. That latest offering from Vanderford outside for ball number 2, and now a 2-1 count at the dish. And Muka trying to continue an offensive role as they've had base runners in every inning so far, but haven't scored since the second. This one popped up shallow left field on the run. Called off is the shortstop Jarvis, and Ben Paulshock just barely makes the catch over the head of his teammate Scott Jarvis. That was close, a bit of a miscommunication there in left field, but Paulshock called the infielder off at the last moment, and the Victoria left fielder makes the catch for out number 1 here in inning number 5. So Hager steps into the batter's box now, the second baseman for these Walla Sweets. A double in his first plate appearance, an RBI double in fact, before grounding out in inning number 3. And the first pitch he sees from Vanderford this time around is low for ball number 1. And Vanderford back into his motion, and this time Hager pops it out first base side. On the run is PJ Floyd, but that will drift into the second row of seats and fall for strike number 1. Hager, out of Tarzana, California, attends Cal State at Monterey Bay, and he is a sophomore with their program. And the 1-1 pitch he will see from Tay Vanderford now on the way, and this time around it misses low and inside, and that can count as ball number 2 and a 2-1 count at home plate. Looking at Hager's numbers this year as he takes ball 3 and moves into a hitter's count, a .238 batting average, 10 hits on 42 plate appearances for Hager, and the 3-1 pitch he gets from Vanderford. Ground ball third base side, but well into foul territory to fill things up at 3-2. Hager will be followed by Connor Kopak at home plate. And Tay Vanderford hoping to orchestrate a quick inning here in the 5th atop the mound for the HarbourCats. 3-2 pitch on the way with one away in this frame. Swing and a miss, and that's a strikeout as down goes Hager. And we have 2 away here in the top of 5, which means it's time for our Freedom 55 trivia question. And that question today is, how many times has a major league team played 2 different teams on the same day? Fitting, we have a doubleheader at Royal Athletic Park for the first time in HarbourCats franchise history. And of course, a classic doubleheader, you play the same team twice in a row. But how many times in the history of the major leagues has a team played 2 different teams in a doubleheader? We'll have that answer for you in the bottom half of the inning. Brought to you by Freedom 55 Financial. Freedom now, freedom tomorrow. Advice that works for you. Foul ball, ground ball off the bat of Connor Kopak, and the count moves to 0-2 at home plate. As Vanderford hoping to get a 1-2-3 inning into the books here in the 5th, and the Cats right now only have 9 outs to work with in a 7-inning game that they trail 3-0. So the sooner they can get back to the bats and back to the offense, the better as far as the home crowd here at Royal Athletic Park is concerned. 0-2 pitch to home plate. That one bounces in the dirt, and Jackson Thorson throws his shoulder in front of it to keep it at the plate, and the count now to 1-2. And right back into the batter's box goes Kopak. A double last time around, 1 for 2 after a flyout in the first for the Sweets shortstop. Big swing, big miss, and 3 away. Another strikeout for Tay Vanderford, his 4th of the afternoon, and that'll complete the top half of inning number 5 for HarbourCats Baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
I'm in the grandstand here with Amanda. Amanda's in town visiting, watching some HarbourCats baseball, and Amanda will do a little music trivia. So anybody in the section that knows this is more than one play it, baby. I'm going with the fact she's singing along, but she knows this song. Amanda, what is this song? That really hurts me when you say that, Amanda. We are never, ever getting back together, and she has to come here in front of all of you people. Can you believe this? Thank you, Amanda. Congratulations. You want to be part of the lunch music before you visit here in Victoria. And we would like to wish one more family a welcome here. The grandparents of Tori Goldstein are here. Big round of applause for them. Now leading off for your HarbourCats, shortstop number 5, Scott Jarvis.
Bottom half of inning number 5 at Sports Traders Diamond at Royal Athletic Park here in Victoria, and Scott Jarvis will lead things off for the HarbourCats, his 2nd plate appearance of the afternoon, and the Cats 2 hits, but yet to register a run against the Walla Sweets here in the series opener, trailing 3-0, and as mentioned in the top half of this frame, only 3 outs to work with here in a 7-inning doubleheader affair as Jarvis takes a curveball for strike number 1 out of the right hand of Micah Gorman, who has been pretty darn effective so far on the mound as the WCL All-Star for the Sweets. And he quickly works ahead of Jarvis, no balls, 2 strikes, and the count 0-2 at home plate. 3rd pitch on the way to the victorious shortstop. This one another breaking ball well outside this time, however, and the count moves to 1-2. It'll be Jarvis, Alex Degody, and Kevin Collard due up for Victoria in this frame. And here comes the 1-2 pitch from the Sweets starter. This time just misses the outside of the strike zone on a fastball, and that'll even things up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jarvis, a strikeout in the 3rd inning. His only plate appearance so far, and Victoria hasn't really had a lot of time to adjust to the starting pitcher as Gorman misses a breaking ball just high, and some good patience at home plate from Jarvis. He's worked his way back from down 0-2 into a full count. And an opportunity to become a base runner here for the HarbourCats. 3-2 pitch, misses low, and it's ball number 4. How about that? 4 straight misses, and a couple of them were close as Jarvis shows some good patience and will advance to first base on a base on balls. So that brings the Goaty to the batter's box, and obviously one of the big offensive tools for Greg Merritt and this Victoria lineup, despite his weak dribbler of a ground out to first base in his first plate appearance of the day. So you'll know number 24 will want to make up for that here in the 5th. And he's got a base runner to work with as Jarvis establishes himself 90 feet to the right of home plate. First offering from Gorman to Goaty, a breaking ball that stayed inside and couldn't get across the plate as the count moves to 1-0. And the 3-0 lead isn't much if Victoria is able to get their offensive stride back. And we mentioned in their last 5 games the batting average .203 for the HarbourCats. That'll dip a little bit even yet here in this game with only 2 hits through 4 innings. 1-0 the count. Runner breaks for second. This is a hit and run play, and a bloop from Goaty drops in front of the center fielder McKenna, but didn't allow the runner to advance over to third. Jarvis had a head of steam and thought about stretching to third, but as soon as that ball looked catchable in front of Alex McKenna, he was forced to hold up, and it'll be a base hit for Alex Goaty to put runners at first and second with nobody out here in the bottom of inning number 5. And this is just what the HarbourCats fans were hoping for. A bit of a late game offensive push from the boys in white. So runner at 1, runner at 2, and we're back to the top of the lineup, and Kevin Collard, who had one of those initial base hits for Victoria in this game. In fact, the first, a single in the 3rd, and the first pitch he sees is low and inside for ball number 1. No movement in the Walla bullpen right now. They have put full faith in Micah Gorman, the starter on the mound, despite a walk and a single here in the 5th inning. And Collard is working in front of things, 1 for 2 on the day. And we're going to take a brief moment as Dylan Wilbert can't coordinate with his pitcher, and the catcher trots out from behind home plate, wants to talk things over with Gorman. A brief exchange between the two, and Wilbert will return behind the dish. Adjusting his gloves and stepping back into the batter's box now is Collard. We mentioned last time he stepped to the dish, he leads Victoria in almost every offensive category. Can he continue that trend here? 1-0 the pitch to home plate, swung on and missed, and the count even 1-1. Collard, 17 runs, best on the HarbourCats. His 31 hits are the same. 7 doubles, 4 home runs, and 20 batted in. Remains a 1-1 count as Collard takes a moment to adjusts his gloves once more, and now digs back in, set for a 3rd pitch from Gorman with runners at first and second and nobody out here in the 5th inning. No pickoff attempt from the pitcher. Instead, he delivers a changeup, it looked like, that misses low. And you can count it at 2-1. And we've seen this pattern continue for the Walla pitcher. Works very efficiently, very quickly when the base paths are clear, but slows right down when the HarbourCats are threatening. Solid leads off first and second for Goaty and Jarvis, respectively. 2-1 pitch to home plate, and Collard pops it up out of play, third base side. So it's 2-2 at home plate now. And Collard trying to win another little battle here. The University of San Diego freshman. who's had a very productive summer for Victoria, and that will be a trend he hopes to continue into university ball in the fall. 2-2 the count. And yet another pitch to the Victoria designated hitter, and this time he fouls it back and gets some applause from the HarbourCats faithful for continuing to fight here. And if nothing else, he's wearing out the arm of the Sweet starter a little bit more. Because Gorman, through the first 3 innings, barely missed a beat. And now he's entrenched a little bit with 2 runners on for the HarbourCats and no immediate relief in sight. 2-2 the pitch as Gorman again checks the runners and goes home, and Collard sends it right back to the pitcher. Chance for a double play here. The throw to third and back to first. Not in time, but the pitcher makes the call, and Gorman throws over to David Geary to at least get the lead runner, while Kevin Collard advances down to first on a fielder's choice.
21, Griffin Andrechuk.
So Jarvis retired as the first out in the inning. Alex Degody advances up to second base, and Collard will take his place over at first. And Andrechuk back to home plate for Victoria after his walk in his last plate appearance, so he remains 0 for 1 on the day. And as mentioned a couple of times, Griffin Andrechuk celebrating a birthday today, so does he have a gift for himself here with 2 runners on, and bouncing around up at second base is Degody. First pitch to Andrechuk, called strike, and an 0-1 count. Degody doing his best to throw off the pitcher Micah Gorman, with Connor Kopak and Miles Hager, the shortstop and second baseman respectively, watching him closely. We'll see if Degody dances around out there again to avoid a pickoff attempt. Stutter stepped, and Andrechuk rips it past the shortstop. Degody gets the green light and then gets the stop sign from the third base coach. It looked like he was going to make a go of it, but up and gunning in left field was John Heckner, and Degody is forced to stay, but that means the bases are loaded for Victoria.
Number 10, Austin Gilmore.
So it'll be a single for Griffin Andrechuk. And now runners at first, second, and third for the Victoria HarbourCats here in the bottom half of inning number 5, and that will prompt a mound visit. And we'll see what Walla can come up with here with 1 away in this inning. This 5th inning of play is also time for our trivia question, of course. And it's time to give you the answer. The Alzheimer's Society of British Columbia trivia question. It's a rising tide of dementia in BC, but there is hope if we act now. Learn more at alzheimerbc.org. And your question was, how many times has a major league team played 2 different teams on the same day? Of course, it's a doubleheader here in Victoria, so we thought it was a fitting question. How many times has a split team doubleheader been held in the major leagues? Well, it's twice. First time was September 13th, 1951. The St. Louis Cardinals played the New York Giants and then took on the Boston Braves. St. Louis beat New York but lost to Boston back in 1951. And then again, September 25th, 2000, the Cleveland Indians played the White Sox and then took on the Minnesota Twins. Again, a split decision, Cleveland beating Chicago but losing to Minnesota. So twice in Major League history, both with playoff implications in September, a split team doubleheader. Not the case in Victoria today. It's 2 in a row between Walla and Victoria, and the HarbourCats trying to get back into the first leg of this doubleheader, down 3-0 against the Swedes, and Austin Gabor in the batter's box with the bases loaded and 1 away. In the second pitch he sees from Micah Gorman sails in high to count 1-1. So just to recap, Degody stands at third, Kevin Collard up at second, and Griffin Andrechuk, after his base hit just a few moments ago, at first. Those are the base runners on the plate for Austin Gabor. If he can drive them home. This one, a rocket out to right center field. No doubt about it. Grand slam, and the HarbourCats jump into the driver's seat. A monster shot off the bat of Austin Gabor, and that electrifies the crowd in Victoria from 3-0 down to 4-3 up. The HarbourCats take the lead in the bottom of 5. That is worst case scenario for Micah Gorman, the starter of these Walla Sweets, with the bases loaded. But that ball was absolutely crushed down the right field line. In fact, the only question about it was, would the ball stay fair? It does, and it's a grand slam for Austin Gabor to make it a 4-3 Victoria lead. Who said the offense was struggling? All right, I said the offense was struggling, but Austin Gabor pulls his team in front here in the 5th with a grand slam, and Ben Paulshock, now in the batter's box, watches the count go to 1-1. So we'll see how Micah Gorman shakes off the grand slam from Gabor. The 1-1 pitch is a called strike against Paulshock. 4 RBIs to the total for Gabor on his 3rd home run of the season. 1-2 pitch popped off the inside of the bat of Ben Paulshock, and the count remains 1-2. And the 5th hit of the ball game, without question the biggest, off the bat of Austin Gabor, the grand slam. And the 1-2 pitch, ground ball from Paulshock. The shortstop Connor Kopak takes it on the backhand and gets the throw to first, and there are 2 away here in the 5th inning. So Gorman composes himself and gets the ground ball from Paulshock, and that brings Jackson Thorson into the batter's box now. And Thorson, the Victoria catcher, 0 for 1 so far today, but we'll see if he can extend what has been an explosive 5th inning so far for the HarbourCats. First offering from Gorman, called strike right down the middle, 0-1 the count to Thorson. 275 the batting average for Thorson coming in. Dipped just a little bit with his ground out in inning number 4. Second pitch he sees is a called strike, and it's now 0-2. And how quickly the complexion of a game can change. Victoria not really able to generate much against Micah Gorman through 4 innings, but all of a sudden they've put together a couple of hits, and one of them a grand slam as it's a strikeout against Jackson Thorson to close the 5th, but not before Austin Gabor made his mark on the series opener. A grand slam, and the HarbourCats have a 4-3 lead. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com. For Austin Gabor, if he can drive him home. This one, a rocket out to right center field. No doubt about it. Grand slam, and the HarbourCats jump into the driver's seat. A monster shot off the bat of Austin Gabor, and that electrifies the crowd in Victoria from 3-0 down to 4-3 up. The HarbourCats take the lead in the bottom of 5.
Oh, this is going to end well. I can see it. That's some fine hustle, ladies. And keep going. Gotta get in a hurry. All right, great job, ladies. I think I was maxing with the weight. Congratulations to Iris Clydale. You have won a pair of custom HarbourCats hats from Bag and Cheese with Bag and Glass. And Claudia Mimic, you have won lunch for 4 at Bin 4. Compliment of the Bin 4 score for.
We head to the top half of inning number 6, and with the Victoria HarbourCats vaulting into the lead on the back of a grand slam home run from Austin Gabor. It's a new pitcher on the mound for the home team to start off inning number 6 as Josh Walker takes over on the mound. The sophomore at Grand Canyon University out of Chino Hills, California, with the first pitch to home plate, and it is a called strike against Juan Gomez, who leads things off for the Walla Walla Sweets, who suddenly find themselves trailing in this 7-inning ball game, and now they have only 6 outs to work with, while the HarbourCats came into their last frame down 3 with 9 outs to go. It's now 4-3 Victoria, and behind 0-2 is Juan Gomez, and this time he sends a base hit right up the middle of the infield, sailing it to about 15 feet in front of the Victoria center fielder Austin Gabor, and that'll be a base hit. A leadoff single from Gomez, his second hit of the ball game. And it's a bit of a shaky start for our new pitcher Josh Walker, who gives up a hit right away, but no real threat yet, and we get to see a little bit of small ball technique, I'm sure, from the Sweets here in the 6th inning, down by just a run. So the bunt on display as expected from Dylan Wilbert. He pops it up, however, nobody there for the catch, and the pitcher will throw to second, not in time. There's nobody at third, and now a bit of a scramble as the throw back to first, and the runner is busted. Going to third base is Juan Gomez, reading that there was nobody there on the pop-up bunt attempt, and then getting a little over-anxious was Dylan Wilbert at first, and he is picked off by the second baseman Griffin Anderchuk. What a mess in the infield, but Victoria gets 1 out at least on a pickoff at first. Good luck to the scorekeepers for sorting that one out, but advancing to third out of that mess was Juan Gomez, and the game-tying run is now 90 feet away with 1 away in this inning after Dylan Wilbert is retired, and Wilbert will be thinking about that. He had no reason to advance 10 feet off of first base. I think just a little bit overexcited, hoping the HarbourCats would send the ball to third base. Instead, it stayed at second, and caught with his hand in the cookie jar was Dylan Wilbert. He is out number 1 in this inning. So Greg Merritt out to chat with his infield, discuss things here with the runner now at third base and 90 feet away from tying this game at 4 as Clayton Ayers steps into the batter's box, the first baseman for Walla Walla, who so far today 1 for 2 with a single and a fly out to right. So Josh Walker, leadoff single, gets an out there on a bit of a botched running situation from the Walla Walla Sweets Dylan Wilbert. And his first pitch to Clayton Ayers is ball 1. So 1-0 count as Gomez now takes a 5-foot lead off of third. The second pitch to home plate is hit hard out to left center field, right toward the scoreboard, and just like that, the Sweets restore their lead. A 2-run home run off the bat of Clayton Ayers, and the relief pitching lets Victoria down as Walker gives up the 2-run shot here in the 6th, and the Sweets take the lead right back. A round of applause from a few Walla Walla faithful in the crowd here at Royal Athletic Park as Ayers picks up the 2-run blast, scoring Juan Gomez as well. And with 1 away in this inning, the bases are clear again, and it is 5-4 in favor of the Walla Walla Sweets. So the home run from Ayers brings up John Heckner. And this is going to be a tug of war back and forth right down to the finish line, it appears. Top of the 6th, 2 runs on the board for Walla Walla after Victoria registers 4 in the bottom of 5, and the offense lately has been all off the long ball. A grand slam from Gabor, a 2-run shot from Ayers. And now Heckner watches yet another ball out of the right hand of the Victoria reliever Josh Walker, and his latest pitch called strike. And now there is a bit of commotion in the Victoria bullpen after that home run surrendered by the Victoria right-hander. And a 3-1 pitch to home plate popped off, and that will fill the count at 3-2 to John Heckner. So far for Heckner, a walk and a single on his afternoon, and with one away in this inning, he's going to try and bring David Geary up next. And the full count pitch on the way as the Victoria right-hander will shake off a sign and then throw home. This one driven into right field. That will drop in front of Chris Faulkner, and that'll be a base hit as Heckner goes down to first, and it appears the Victoria pitcher, we reported it to be Josh Walker. Our mistake here in the booth, it's actually Sean Kennedy out on the mound for the HarbourCats. So apologies to Josh Walker. Sean Kennedy on the hook for the 2-run home run, and now 3 hits in this inning as Heckner picks up the 1-out signal. And it's actually Josh Walker who is now loosening up in the bullpen. Called strike, and the count 0-1 to David Geary, who steps in. 16 and 18 look awfully similar on the HarbourCats jerseys. That's what we've learned today in the broadcast booth. So Kennedy has been roughed up here in this inning as now a pitch out, keeping an eye on a steal attempt, and Jackson Thorson did not have to make a throw as the count moves to 1-1, and John Heckner stays parked at first. So just to recap, Kennedy started this 6th inning of play, gave up a single to Juan Gomez to lead off, and then a 2-run home run off the bat of Clayton Ayers, and it's now 5-4 in favor of the Walla Walla Sweets. And briefly calling timeout over at first is the base runner John Heckner to clean up the base path a little bit and trot back to 1 bag. And now it's Josh Walker warming up in the bullpen as a potential reliever for Sean Kennedy on the mound. 1-1 count to home plate. Runner breaks for second, but it's a foul ball regardless off the bat of David Geary as the Sweets try a hit-and-run attempt. And as quickly as Victoria took the lead on a grand slam, and then the bullpen was activated with Sean Kennedy stepping in, it's now the exact same scenario playing out for Walla Walla. They take a lead on a home run. And now up and throwing out in left field is Cam Richmond. Throw over to first from Sean Kennedy. Back in time, and plenty of it, is John Heckner, in the count 1-2. 1 away, top half of the 6th inning, and the HarbourCats now just trying to limit the damage. A 7-inning ball game and a swing and a miss there, and down on strikes is Heckner. He's the 2nd batter retired here in the 6th inning. But with the doubleheader format, there's not a whole lot of baseball left in game 1 of this 3-game series, so you might as well consider this the 8th here, and that's the kind of tactics we're going to see from both managers. So with Heckner down on strikes, that brings David Geary to the batter's box. Geary, 0 for 1, a flyout. Actually, apologies, it was Geary who struck out. McKenna into the batter's box, and a called strike on the first pitch.
So with those rubbers out there in the bullpen and the plates as well, the ones that are pitching.
And with an 0-1 count, as now it's Heckner taking a big stride off of first with 2 away in this inning, just trying to add some insurance. And no call on the good-looking pitch out of the right hand of Sean Kennedy evens the count at 1-1 at home plate to Alex McKenna. McKenna set for a 3rd offering from the 3rd pitcher of this game for Victoria, but instead it's a pickoff attempt back to first, and there is Heckner, no problem at all. So movement in both bullpens here in the 6th inning, and Victoria now again trailing by a run. The 1-1 pitch fouled off by McKenna, and he's now 1 strike away, and that gives Kennedy an opportunity to get himself out of a forgettable 6th inning for Victoria. 9 hits so far in the afternoon from Walla, 5 for Victoria, but it's been 3 in this inning for the Sweets, and the 1-2 pitch to home misses high, and that evens the count once more. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Walla center fielder Alex McKenna trying to extend this inning and advance John Heckner from his post at first after his single earlier in this frame. The 2-2 pitch on the way from Kennedy, swing and a miss, and he gets back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning, but Kennedy gives up a key home run at a key time for the Walla Sweets. Clayton Ayers with a 2-run blast, and the visitors lead 5-4 as we head to the bottom half of 6. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on HarbourCats television, rather Shaw Television, and HarbourCats.com.
And then tomorrow is UseVictoria.com. Paint the Park Purple. Brought to you by our friends at Harbor Air. And of course, 2 cast members from Big Brother Canada going to be in the house. We've also got a hot dog eating contest with Maple Leaf Beats, and you do not want to miss tomorrow. Now, next weekend we're hosting here at Sports Trader Diamond the BC Provincial Premier League Championship. I want to announce that today the Victoria Eagles, the host team, have qualified. Congratulations to the Eagles, 4-0 and 3-1 were their wins today over Gordon Head. So they will be here and going for the championship, and we're very proud of them. And looking forward to hosting that tournament here next weekend.
We are set for the bottom half of inning number 6, and the HarbourCats find themselves behind the Walla Sweets once more, down 5-4, and PJ Floyd will lead things off on this Go Live broadcast of HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com. First pitch to Floyd, outside for ball number 1. And a 1-0 count. The 6th inning brought to you by Alex Burns and Associates, Island Investing Made Easy at VictoriaRealEstate.com. And there is a leadoff single up the right side of the infield from PJ Floyd. He'll get to first and down by a run. That's exactly the kind of start the HarbourCats were hoping for. As Floyd takes the second pitch from a new pitcher on the mound for the visitors. Didn't even get time to introduce him before he gave up a single, and it's Walla's own Cam Richmond now on the mound for the visitors. And Richmond, a freshman at the University of Portland, gives up a leadoff base hit to PJ Floyd, and that brings Chris Faulkner to the dish. He shows bunt, pulls it back, and takes ball number 1. So Micah Gorman leaves this game through 5 innings of work. His only real blemish, the grand slam in the bottom of the 5th. Otherwise, 5 hits, 4 runs against Gorman. And we'll see how Cam Richmond fares here against this potent Victoria offense that is seemed to wake up from the slumber a little bit here as we enter the latter stages of Game 1 of this series. 2 balls, no strikes to Chris Faulkner now, with PJ Floyd on first after his leadoff base hit, and the Cats down by 1 in the 6th inning of a 7-inning affair to open up our Saturday doubleheader. 2-0 pitch, runner breaks for second, great jump, but it's not good enough. Picked off at second base is PJ Floyd as Dylan Wilbert came up with an excellent throw, and there for the tag is Connor Kopak. And Victoria's game-tying run on the base path is retired, caught stealing. So 1 away after ball 4 to Chris Faulkner. And PJ Floyd will make his way back to the dugout, but it's ball 4 to Faulkner regardless, and all of a sudden that decision to go for the stolen base looks unwise. It would have been runners at first and second, nobody out for Victoria. Instead, 1 away, and Faulkner stands at first, and that will again prompt a chat on the mound as Cam Richmond is going to get a brief conversation with his bench boss and the catcher Dylan Wilbert to discuss the situation. So now with 1 away, Greg Merritt has also got to chat things over and decide, is he going to continue with the small ball and instruct Scott Jarvis to lay down a bunt here and hope to advance Chris Faulkner around to tie this game in the 6th? Or does the Victoria shortstop get an opportunity to swing away against Cam Richmond and test your luck with a pitcher who is yet to hit the strike zone? 4 balls and a base hit given up by Richmond so far in his first inning of relief. So the conversations on both sides of the diamond now complete. Chris Faulkner on first base, Scott Jarvis, the shortstop for these HarbourCats, now into the batter's box with Alex Degody standing on deck. And Jarvis, a walk in the 5th inning. Looking for more in the 6th. First pitch he sees, a called strike, in the count 0-1. Jarvis 0 for 1 in the game. He struck out back in the 3rd. And these are the kind of games where Victoria wants to pull out a victory, trying to reel in teams like Walla Walla for the wild card spot. Big swing, big miss from Jarvis, and he's quickly behind Richmond, 0-2. And now more movement in the Walla Walla bullpen, as it looks like they've got a closer warming up. And the 0-2 in the dirt, another steal attempt, and this time successful, as Faulkner got a good jump away, but the throw more than anything from Dylan Wilbert not in line. And it's a stolen base from Faulkner to move up to scoring position. And loosening up out in the bullpen is Juan Gomez, who currently is the designated hitter for these Walla Walla Sweets, and he may be called upon here in inning number 7. But first, it's up to Cam Richmond to try and get out of this frame. With 2 away after Jarvis is retired, and Degody shows bunt, pulls it back, and takes a called strike. So Jarvis down on the strikeout, and Degody now in the batter's box. A single here, if he can get it to the outfield, might be enough to tie this game at 5. It was a base hit in the last plate appearance for Alex Degody, and a big lead for Faulkner at second, uncontested. 1-2 pitch, and Degody couldn't hold back on a check swing. And he is down 0-2, I should say. It was an 0-1 pitch, now 0-2. And Degody will have to work from behind on Cam Richmond, who gave up a base hit, then threw 4 straight balls, but after a chat with his manager has reeled things in. 0-2 pitch to Degody, breaks away outside, and there's the first ball of this at-bat, 1-2. A narrow 1-run lead for these Walla Walla Sweets. Bottom half of the 6th inning, we're playing 7 in Game 1 of this series, with Game 2 to follow after a short break. 1-2 pitch on the way to Degody, inside heater, and that is strike number 3. And Cam Richmond gets himself out of a jam, and the HarbourCats remain down by 1. 5-4 the score as we go to the 7th. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com. out onto the mound from Greg Merritt here in inning number 7. And Kennedy, who gave up a 2-run shot in the top of the 6th, will get an opportunity to redeem himself and keep this a 1-run ball game against the Walla Walla Sweets, with the top of the order due up. Dylan Muka, Miles Hager, and Connor Kopak set to bat here in the 7th inning. The first pitch delivered to Muka is ball number 1 for a 1-0 count at home plate. 5-4 in favor of Walla Walla. They scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, as Muka sends one out to left field. Will it stay fair? No. Foul by just 3 or 4 feet. 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and then a 2-run home run from Clayton Ayers in the 6th inning accounts for the 5 runs scored by Walla Walla this afternoon. Victoria, meanwhile, blanked for the first 4 innings, but it took 1 swing of the bat from Austin Gabor to give them the lead in the 5th, which they then promptly surrendered in the 6th, and it's 5-4 Walla Walla as they look to gain a little breathing room on these HarbourCats in the chase for the wild card spot, as this pitch, a called strike against Dylan Muka, and Sean Kennedy quickly gets ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And looking to work quickly after back-to-back strikeouts to end a difficult 6th inning. This one, a foul tip out of the glove of the Victoria catcher, Jackson Thorson. And stepping out is Muka to adjust his gloves. Has yet to pick up a hit in this game, not one of the 9 registered by Walla Walla this afternoon, and he'll take an inside pitch for ball 2. 0 for 2 is Muka after a walk and a run back in the first. 2-2 pitch from Kennedy to home. This one called strike 3, and you can count it 3 Ks in a row for Sean Kennedy, in just the way he wanted to start inning number 7. So with Muka down, Miles Hager will step into the batter's box, and for Victoria, it's about trying to keep this at 1 run and giving themselves an opportunity to tie it in the bottom of the 7th, or maybe walk off with a victory in the first half of this doubleheader. First pitch from Kennedy to Hager, big swing and a miss for strike 1. Hager with a double in his first plate appearance. Got an RBI there, but has grounded out and struck out since, as he takes the ball, and the count even now, 1 ball, 1 strike. Miles Hager at Cal State, Monterey Bay. Can he add a little insurance here for the home side? Swing, and he was fooled outright by Kennedy there, as now the Victoria reliever moves ahead in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And when Victoria steps to the batter's box in the 7th, it's the top of their lineup. Another strikeout for Kennedy. And that's 4 straight Ks from the Victoria reliever. And he gave up the home run. Tell you what, he's been pretty good since for these HarbourCats. A single and 4 straight strikeouts. And now he's hoping to K the side in the 7th with Connor Kopak digging into the batter's box. He struck out in his last plate appearance. And what a spark of momentum that would be for the home crowd and this HarbourCats squad. But this one is hit hard to left field, right at a line, and it just clears the fence for a home run. That was a laser beam just over the wall, a leaping attempt from Ben Paulshock, and he couldn't get it. Man, that cleared the fence by no more than a foot, and it's a home run from Kopak, and that spoils what would have been a spectacular 7th inning from Sean Kennedy. Instead, it extends this Walla Walla lead. The 2nd home run given up by Kennedy in 2 innings of work, and Kopak picks up the shot. And for him, you can count it his 2nd home run of this West Coast League season. A 2-out home run to make it 6-4 from Connor Kopak, and Juan Gomez now into the batter's box. He watches the first for strike 1, and Sean Kennedy, working with a bit of fire now, quickly racks up strike 2 on a swing and a miss. Still an opportunity here for Kennedy to strike out the side, but his teammates got to come up with some bats in the bottom of the 7th. This one a check swing fouled off by Gomez, who may just come out to pitch the bottom half of the 7th inning if Cam Richmond is removed from this game. We saw Gomez warming up in the bullpen a few moments ago, but first an 0-2 pitch from Kennedy to home, swing and a miss, and Kennedy indeed strikes out the side, but tucked in the middle, a solo home run from Connor Kopak, and it's 6-4 headed to the bottom of the 7th. The HarbourCats need 2 to tie, 1 to win it, 1 more to win it in the bottom half of this frame. You're watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 37, Kevin Collard.
Bottom half of inning number 7 at Sports Traders Diamond at Royal Athletic Park here in Victoria. Mike Walker filling in for Jay Longpre on this Go Live broadcast of Victoria HarbourCats baseball, down 6-4 in the bottom half of inning number 7. They need 2 to tie, 3 to win the first half of our doubleheader between the Walla Sweets and these HarbourCats. And it's the top of the order due up. Kevin Collard, Griffin Anderchuk, and Austin Gabor. And this one is a hit into right center field, likely going to be 2 for Kevin Collard, who rounds first, and a stand-up double to lead off the 7th inning. Nothing wrong with that from the Victoria designated hitter. And that's 3 innings in a row now. Victoria has started the frame with a punch of offense. And that will bring a pinch hitter into the batter's box for Victoria.
Number 30, AJ.
It looks like it'll be AJ Alcantara stepping into the home plate position. And right now, with the way the ball's flying out of the park this afternoon, 1 swing of the bat ties the game. But more importantly, Kevin Collard in scoring position for Alcantara, and an opportunity to reel this game within 1 with nobody out here in the bottom half of inning number 7. So still on the mound is Richmond as he throws a breaking ball for strike 1 to Alcantara. And Richmond, after giving up a single and a walk to lead off last inning, worked his way out of trouble with a couple of strikeouts. Can he do the same here in the 7th? 0-1 pitch to Alcantara. That one caught him on the elbow, and the HarbourCats have the game-tying run on base. It is a hit-by-pitch to move the runner down to first, and that brings Austin Gabor. Man, if you were going to pick anybody to bat in this scenario, wouldn't it be the guy who hit a grand slam in the 5th to give the HarbourCats the lead? Another home run here wins it. And Gabor, who is 1 for 2 with 4 batted in today, has a chance to try and close this gap in the 7th inning. 6-4 the score, the HarbourCats down, and nobody out, and now timeout called is Greg Merritt. I believe is going to throw in a pinch runner for AJ Alcantara, and that is exactly the case. Is coming in for Victoria in this scenario is Reno Rankin. So Rankin will flex out his quadriceps, get a few high steps in over at first base, prepared to run. So it's Rankin at first, now in for AJ Alcantara after his hit by pitch. And Kevin Collard remains at second base. Nothing wrong with putting a bit of speed in when that's the game-tying run, as Austin Gabor digs into the batter's box, awaiting his first pitch from Cam Richmond. That one breaks inside, ball one. It's a bit of a sidearm delivery from Richmond, and that's what caught AJ Alcantara, the right-handed batter, on the elbow. Now it's hooking right into the sweet spot for Austin Gabor, the left-handed batter. Wind still blowing heavily out to left center field as Richmond comes set. 1-0 pitch on the way to Gabor, and he watches that sailing outside for ball two. And now the pressure mounts a little bit for the Walla right-hander, with the bullpen appearing ready to step in this 7th inning of play, our final inning on this doubleheader Saturday in game number 1. 2-0 the count. Richmond will check the runner, but he's got to focus on home plate here, and this time he misses outside again, and it is 3-0. And he's one more miss away from putting the game-tying run in scoring position with nobody out here in the 7th. Making the job easy for Gabor and kind of staying away from the Victoria slugger. 3-0 the count. 2 runners on. And Richmond goes home and misses again. 4 straight balls, and it's bases loaded. Nobody out in the 7th inning. And about as good as it gets if you're in the stands here at Sports Traders Diamond at Royal Athletic Park. This is exactly the scenario they want, and the entire infield will come in. A pitching change on the way for Walla. And I believe it will be the designated hitter stepping into pitch in Juan Gomez. I'll have to get a look at the number here in a moment. But we have a moment to remind you this 7th inning of play brought to you by Wilson's Transportation, locally owned and operated since 1962 with over 90 vehicles to rent. And Victoria needing wins late in this season as Gomez takes his first warm-up pitch and stumbles off the mound. A couple of anxious moments for Gomez as he'll adjust his footing, but he is into the game as a reliever, a closer if you will, with a 2-run lead, is the Walla designated hitter. And he is set to face Ben Paulshock, the Victoria left fielder, with the bases loaded, nobody out here in the bottom of 7. And if Paulshock can put the ball in play, things get interesting, of course. As Gomez warms up on the mound, we also want to remind you that we do have game 2 of this doubleheader coming up after a short break here at Royal Athletic Park. We understand it'll be 20 or 30 minutes in between games. And Gomez, not a pitcher in his collegiate season this year, but he has played 4 games in a closing role for Walla this season, 3 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 2 earned runs, though, however, in those 3 2/3 innings, a 4.90 ERA. And here's Ben Paulshock, who I'm sure has got wide eyes for the left field fence here with the bases loaded, nobody out in the bottom of the 7th, and the HarbourCats down 2, looking to walk off with a victory in the series opener. And Gomez on the mound to the right-handed batting Paulshock, a battle of righties, and the first pitch is a fastball, strike 1. So Juan Gomez trying to save this game for the Sweets, who used a home run to take the lead in the top of 6, added 1 in the top of the 7th, now trying to hold on to it in the bottom of 7, and the second pitch from Gomez misses for a 1-1 count. And now the ever-growing crowd here in Victoria as we slip into the evening hours of this 2-game affair, starting to warm up a little bit, get into the mind of the Walla pitching staff. And a 1-1 count, bases loaded pitch on the way to Ben Paulshock as Gomez takes a look at the runners and hits the batter. A breaking ball misses inside and catches the leg of Paulshock. The second hit batter of this inning, and it's a 1-run ball game. Who would have expected that? So everyone moves over one. Collard comes in to make it 6-5. Alcantara reached on a hit by pitch earlier in this inning. Subbed out for Reno Rankin, who now stands at third. Gabor's at second. Paulshuk's at first, but the only run that matters is at second base. That's your game winner. Meanwhile, Reno Rankin at third. He needs to come home to tie, and this might do it. A fly ball to center field. There for the catches. McKenna tagging up and heading home is Reno Rankin, and it's 6-6 in Victoria. A sacrifice fly ball off the bat of Jackson Thorson will even this score. That is the first out here in this 7th inning, and now it's runners at second and third. But the man standing at third is Austin Gabor, who had a grand slam in this inning and is a shoo-in for player of the game. If PJ Floyd can cash him in here with one away in this inning, anything to the outfield will pretty much do it for a tag up and a play at the plate at the very least. So Gomez comes set on the mound with one away here in the 7th. First pitch in the dirt, but knocked down by the catcher Dylan Wilbur for ball 1. And how anxious is Austin Gabor to get home here for a walk-off opportunity in front of a Saturday afternoon crowd in a desperately needed game for the HarbourCats to try and stay in the playoff race here with 15 games to go. Everyone takes a moment to think it over. The infielders playing in because they have no other choice here. And it's going to be an intentional walk to load the bases and set up a double play opportunity, but the ball is thrown over the head of the catcher, and the HarbourCats have won it in the most improbable of finishes. An error by the pitcher on an intentional walk attempt. Home comes the runner, Austin Gabor, and the Cats, with 3 in the 7th, win it 7-6. An unpredictable, unbelievable finish. I don't think I've ever seen an intentional walk go so astray as to cost a team the game, but that is the case for Walla here in the 7th, as Gomez flipped it about 3 feet over the head of the catcher Dylan Wilbert on the intentional walk attempt, and that's all she wrote. The HarbourCats get a victory, their 19th of the season, 7-6 in walk-off fashion here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And by my count, that'll be the second error of the game charged against Walla, the fateful one. And a 7-6 final. Let's take you through the recap before we take a break in between doubleheader games. The Sweets opened the scoring in the first inning after a walk to Dylan Muka and an RBI double from Miles Hager. It was an RBI single from Juan Gomez to make it a 2-0 game. They added to that in the second with a sacrifice fly, and that's the way this game remained all the way into the 5th inning, 3-0 Walla. But that's when the Victoria Bats came to life. A single from Alex Degoti, another single from Griffin Anderchuk, and a hit by pitch in between gave Austin Gabor the opportunity for a grand slam home run down the third baseline, vaulting Victoria into a 4-3 lead. But right back came the Sweets in the 6th inning, and it was a leadoff base hit from Juan Gomez, who had 2 hits today, that teed up a 2-run shot from Clayton Ayers. And just like that, it was the visitors back on top, 5-4. They added one more in the 7th and held a 2-run lead into the final inning of play, but the HarbourCats went right to work against Cam Richmond. A leadoff double from Kevin Collard. Then AJ Alcantara was hit by a pitch. Austin Gabor was issued a walk to load the bases with nobody out. A hit by pitch to Ben Paulshuk brought the first run home to make it a 6-5 game. Then a sacrifice fly from Jackson Thorson tied things up. And then it looked like certainly PJ Floyd would be issued an intentional walk, but Juan Gomez, who had such a good game at home plate, throws the game away in a relief effort, in a closing effort in the 7th inning. And that is the closure of this game. 7-6 walk-off is coming home on the error. Was Austin Gabor. The HarbourCats steal one in the series opener against the Walla Walla Sweets. We will take a break in between games and come back for the second half of our doubleheader. Another 7-inning affair on tap, but the Cats pick up a win in game 1. This is Mike Walker filling in for Jay Longpre, and you are watching HarbourCats baseball on Shaw Television and HarbourCats.com.